Hello, guys. Hello. And I'm not sure how many of you are Pokemon fans, but man, this is like pop culture, right? Pokemon is one of the biggest franchises in the world. If I'm not mistaken, it probably is the biggest. And I think, only after Pokemon do we get like franchises like Disney, and maybe I don't know, Hello Kitty, Warner Brothers, all of these other franchises, and yeah, it really comes back down to the way Pokemon has marketed itself, which is all about selling toys and merchandise, and they really went hardcore with it, and it's really one of the biggest selling stuff out there. I mean, no, forget about the video games and the movies, right? Think about how many toys there are for Pokemon. You have already 151 different Pokemon, and if the selection is not enough, they came up with like 7 generations of that, creating like I think almost 1,000 different Pokemon. And over the years, we have seen these things really grow and expand to the point where um, it's not about just kids, right? Adults, even people who just want something, like to keep in their house or some decoration or what. I'm pretty sure that there is at least one Pokemon thing. And if those people aren't really fans of pop culture and Pokemon, they probably wouldn't know. But if you're a fan of pop culture, man, you would know Pokemon. And Pokemon is really like it's one of the greatest, right? So when I was a kid, I of course had the cards. I had the Game Boy. The I think it was Game Boy Color, and followed by the Game Boy Advanced. And unfortunately, I did not continue my passion. I didn't go to the Nintendo DS or anything like that. But I did get my opportunity to actually play the video card game, and also I watched, of course, other people play the video games. And I believe the last Pokemon video game I played was Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. I don't think I went beyond Generation Emerald. So all that is like, if I'm not mistaken, Gen 4, right? I think it's Gen 4. It's like red first, and then there was gold, silver, crystal, and then there was like the I don't know, was it Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald after that, or something like that? But it's either Gen 3 or Gen 4, and that was it. That's the limits of my knowledge. But I do know that I watched up to like 10 or 14 films. I think 14 different films, and then I think the last film I watched was something to do with it was after Darkrai. It was Lucario. I think it was about Lucario or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, coming back to the very first Pokemon film, I'm a big fan of this film, right? As you can see, it's on IMDb. It's got a rating of 6.3. I think the rating is a little bit unfair, but that's not really that's not really what's important, because as I said before, you can love a film and know that it's not the best film out there, and it's clearly shown here that this may be a 6.3, but to me, I love this regardless of how good or bad it was, because this is a childhood's dream come true to get an entire movie out of like your favorite TV series, the games that you play, to get to finally see, the legendary Pokemon Mewtwo in the big screen. This is like, man, this is crazy. Like, who would have thought, right? And this film, I like how it starts off with a little, like, I don't know, like some cute moments between these Pokemon. And if you got the same copy of the CD that I previously bought, it actually had what do you call this short film, this Pokemon short film of Pikachu vacation or something like that. And in the Pikachu's vacation, you see like a lot of Pokemons having fun together and building stuff and whatever. So that little vacation like shot I felt was pretty cute. And shortly after that, we come to the actual film. And I mean, this is our star. This is the protagonist here, Pikachu. This is the like the side character Ash, who's Pikachu's sidekick. And of course, we start off with the team just going for a quick battle, with some strangers. And I felt this battle scene was so stupid because Pikachu thunderbolts a Golem, I think, and Golem dies or something. I mean, Golem knocks out. No one dies, right? It's Pokemon. Come on, it's for kids. No one really dies. But I think there were some high stakes in this film. There was still tales of death. There was still stories of explosions and scientists dying in the laboratory. And they don't really show it to anyone because that would be too much. But they do insinuate that death is a thing, a possible factor in this film, and it's quite serious. But I think this film shows us something that's a lot darker than just death, right? It really shows us the concept of cloning, and mind control, and being held against your free will. Because in a way, of course, Team Rocket. I mean, come on, these guys are the best, right? To infinity, or rather something like that. And or was that Buzz Lightyear? Anyway, we really see the dark concept of mind control, and the control of free will. And I felt that this was one of the early cartoons that really, it gave me a concept that there's a lot of darker world like things out there in these stories, that if we pay attention to detail, we'll realize that Pokemon are all, end of the day, some form of an animal, right? Some creature. And whether or not they're classified as animals, they are treated like pets and also as slaves. And they fight for people. They are used to do battle, to do war. So they're essentially similar to a person or an animal kept in enslavement purely for combat. And while they do get treated, some treat them like pets, some treat them like friends, some treat them like family. Regardless of how each individual trainer treats them, you can't help it but realize their ultimate objective is for them to, be kept enslaved in a Pokeball. And Pikachu is the only one Ash treats differently. That just shows you that he has favoritism towards Pikachu, and he likes Pikachu because Pikachu is a little stubborn of a Pokemon. He doesn't like to sit in the Pokeball. And we realize that at the end of the day, Ash is the same as everyone else because Ash keeps the rest of his Pokemon in his Pokeballs, and it addresses the question of, was what Mewtwo doing, what Mewtwo was doing, really the ultimate, counter objective. Pokemon's finding free will, Pokemon's thinking for themselves, and the only reason Mewtwo was an exception was because he was intelligent enough to overcome the rule of man. And if a Pokemon is not capable of doing that, they would be enslaved the same as everyone else. And Mew, being like the ultimate DNA Pokemon, the father of all Pokemon sort of depiction here. Mew is a Pokemon that has never been enslaved, never been captured. However, all of Mew's creations, or everything that came from Mew, was eventually captured and used as some sort of a creature and enslaved. And it's all because of this little device, the Pokeball, the prison of Pokemon. And while there are so many funny depictions out there of how the Pokemon spends their time in the Pokeball, ultimately we realize that while the Pokemon is in the Pokeball, it is a state of coma because the Pokemon don't really realize what happened before. Like what happens while they're in the Pokeball. They don't really have any knowledge of that. All they know is that before they get captured, before they get enslaved, they always fight off the Pokeball. So Pokemons naturally do not want to get captured. But the trainers beat them up. The trainers weaken them. The trainers really, like if you play the game, you poison them, you put them to sleep, you really hurt these Pokemon before you're able to finally break their will and capture them. And I felt that, this was all reminiscent of the recent film of Justice League, where Darkseid's motivation is the same. Darkseid wants to weaken the will of humans. He wants to break their soul and then finally enslave them. And I felt that the whole anti-life equation concept was very much similar to the thing that makes Pokemon so happy. Like they tell kids that, hey, you should be, you know, um, a person who poaches Pokemon, who enslaves people, or rather enslaves animals, and that's absolutely fine. It's basically, 14 plus seasons of animal cruelty, and this was the thing that was sold to kids. And now that I think about it, it was really dark. And this first film was what started this incredible journey of Pokemon for me, where of course, as I played the games and everything, I was happy with it. But what I enjoyed most about Pokemon was the strategy behind the game. Realizing that we are all just these people who want to use these creatures and solve their capability of destruction with their skills and their abilities, and the timing and the weaknesses, the speeds, and who takes their first turn, the second turn. That's what the video game was and the card game is. But when it comes to the story of Pokemon, you realize that it's a lot darker than that. The end of the day, of course, Mewtwo creates a clone army, which he believes is like the only way he can redeem these Pokemon is by creating ones that question their freedom. Because this Meowth's conversation is especially important. While Meowth is talking about the similarities between these two, hell, they're not the same in any way because Meowth here is a slave to the world. He is controlled by humans, whereas this one here on the right, despite not being as intelligent as this one to talk or whatever, he is still smart enough to realize that he is not to be enslaved by humans. And Ash, of course, steps in to kind of be the bigger man to block Mew and Mewtwo from fighting and get saved by the tears of all the other Pokemon in the world. We realized that Mewtwo was ultimately right to say that Pokemon will not be slaves of man. They will not be made into killing machines. They will not be used to do the people to do the bidding of people. And they are meant to be free-willed creatures, but they can't do that because mankind has enslaved Pokemon. And so I felt that I wanted to not only do this review just to talk about, the concepts and darker concepts behind this film, but just to question our motives as a whole. Like, in order for people to come up with this story, to come up with a franchise that is solely built over the enslavement of animals, what truly was the bigger picture? Have you guys ever thought about that? Have you guys ever questioned, what is Pokemon really about? Is it just about us creating a game where we can play around with these animals, play with their bodies, their minds, and their souls to do our bidding? I mean, sure, they're colorful, they have powers, and we are enslaving them for their powers because, humans don't have these powers. And if you watch Pokemon throughout the series, they used to do a lot of things: construction, labor work, zoos, entertainment, everything. Pokemon is basically us using tools, or rather living creatures as tools. And upon closer attention to detail, I realized that these Pokemon need not necessarily just be animals. They could represent other people and their capabilities, and how we as a society are also enslaved. Uh, because of the need of our unique capabilities, and we are all enslaved in some form of another, or one way or another. And if you look more into this film, you see a lot more about mind control, because as you can see, Nurse Joy here was controlled by Mewtwo, and it felt like such a creepy thing to us. But now, if you think about it, what about all the Pokemon that are kept in Pokeballs, not allowed to mate freely, not allowed to roam freely, to do what they would do if they were just left free, but instead all kept under the enslavement of these players, and they have been brainwashed to do their bidding, to fight for them the battles that you know they want to fight, they want to win, because they will achieve medals. And what do Pokemon get? Food, some recognition, a hug. I mean, at the end of the day, the bigger picture is really, really creepy. And I mean, I could go on, but I think you guys get the point at this moment, right? So yeah, that's it. That's my review of this creepy film and the entire franchise as a whole. Sorry if I've ruined your childhood for you, but man, if you think about it, Pokemon was not all just about fun, right? Because as you grow up and you think more about it, sure, you'll be like, oh, come on, it's clearly animal cruelty. And people will be like, no, like, it's not, it's just fun. But is it really? Whose side are you on? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you are all up for enslavement, because slavery has no room for in this modern age. And by all means, I am against slavery. I don't like the notion of it. Um, which is also why I really don't. I'm really against keeping pets, like birds especially, because you don't give them the chance to fly around. And I feel that it could be really harmful if we continue to ignore these stories and treat it as a norm, only to later grow up and realize that we've been teaching our kids how to enslave animals. And while it is great to sell this form of entertainment to children, and at the end of the day, it is similar to how you have computer games that teach you to shoot people, right? You play Counter Strike, you shoot and kill people. You play a game of terrorists versus counter-terrorists, and sometimes you play as a terrorist, sometimes you play as a counter-terrorist, sometimes you got to plant the bomb, sometimes you got to defuse the bomb, and that doesn't turn people into terrorists. No, real terrorists don't necessarily play Counter Strike if you think about it. The same way, real people who enslave others don't necessarily play Pokemon. Those kids who play Pokemon, they're harmless, to be honest. Most of them are just so addicted in playing the game, they're not bothered to actually spend time wanting to go out there and dominate the world. But what is the true story that was being told by this is really creepy. It was really questioning the motives of humanity and mankind as a whole. And that is what Mewtwo's role is. Mewtwo's role is that third person who questions things, questions why mankind is allowed to enslave Pokemon and why Pokemon are not allowed to question it. And especially this conversation between the two Meowths about similarities and differences, while they're trying to tell us that we should look at the similarities between each other. This is really a good concept that would end racism, that would end, against religious violence and whatever, if we think about how similar we are as humans. But at the end of the day, who really has the free will here? That's it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.